Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Privācakācārya Stotra Shri Šrimad Bhagavatam Bhakti Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Šrimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Grantaraj Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Glorious to the some devotees Visāšlavieši susirinkusim sasidāvasim Visāšlavieši Shiguru ir Gauranga Ar jūs norit kartu džapą arba klausytis paskaitas?
O angliškai bus, ar?
Jo.
Tai aš tyliai, o jūs angliškai.
Ne. Arba, nes jūs galite tik vieną dalyką girdėti. Arba šventą vardą, arba paskaitą. Nesvarbu man, bet reikia pasirinkti.
Angliškai nemoku, tai su džapą.
Gerai, nieko blogo.
Gerai.
Jis nori džapą kartot. Sako. Okay, so no translation, I suppose, is needed. You understand everything? So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Yasya Devi Prabhaktir Yata Devi Tata Guru Tasyaite Katita Harta Prakashanti Mahatmanaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shmate Sankarshan Dasari Karyati Namo Prabhupada Nuga Prem Murtikapatmaya Gaura Desha Vikasha Artutta Bhakti Vaishne Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shmate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we'll continue our study of Bhagavatam. First canto, chapter 6. This is the history of Srila Narada Muni in conversation with Srila Vyasadeva. And text 23. Okay. So I'll just chant, I suppose. Do you have a phone with a verse on it or no? 163 23.
1623.
Yeah. And 623. Sat-sevayādīrghayāpi. No, not really. Okay, we'll wait. sat-sevayādīrghayāpi jātā mayi dṛḍhā matiḥ hitvāvadyam imaṁ lokaṁ gantā maj-janatām sat-sevayādīrghayāpi jātā mayi dṛḍhā matiḥ hitvāvadyam imaṁ lokaṁ gantā maj-janatām sat-sevayādīrghayāpi jātā mayi dṛḍhā matiḥ hitvāvadyam imaṁ lokaṁ gantā maj-janatām sat-sevayādīrghayāpi jātā mayi dṛḍhā matiḥ hitvāvadyam imaṁ lokaṁ gantā maj-janatām sat-sevayādīrghayāpi jātā mayi dṛḍhā matiḥ hitvāvadyam imaṁ lokaṁ gantā maj-janatām sat-sevaya, by service of the Absolute Truth. Hadirgaya, for some days. Api, even. Jātā, having attained. Mayi, unto me. Dṛḍhā, firm. Matiḥ, intelligence. Hitvā, having given up. Avadyam, deplorable. Imaṁ, this. Lokaṁ, material worlds. Gantā, going to. Maj-janatām, my associates. Asi, become. His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada's translation and purport. Srila Prabhupada Jagat Guru Ki Jai. By service of the Absolute Truth, even for a few days, a devotee attains firm and fixed intelligence in me. Consequently, he goes on to become my associate in the transcendental world after giving up the present deplorable material worlds. Maybe a translation? Okay. Okay. By service of the Absolute Truth, so this is Vishnu speaking to Narada directly. So he's giving him instructions, he's giving him consolation because he told him, you won't see me again in this life. But now he's giving him a consolation to make him feel, to support him in his journey. So he says, by service of the Absolute Truth, even for a few days, a devotee attains firm and fixed intelligence in me. Consequently, he goes on to become my associate in the transcendental world after giving up the present deplorable material worlds. Purport. Serving the Absolute Truth means rendering service unto the Absolute Personality of Godhead under the direction of the bona fide spiritual master, who is a transparent medium between the Lord and the neophyte devotee. The neophyte devotee has no ability to approach the Absolute Personality of Godhead by the strength of his present imperfect material senses. And therefore, under the direction of the spiritual master, he is trained in transcendental service of the Lord. And by such training, even for some days, the neophyte devotee gets intelligence in such transcendental service, which leads him ultimately to get free from perpetual inhabitation in the material worlds and to be promoted to the transcendental world, to become one of the liberated associates of the Lord in the kingdom of God. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so we'll read the verse one more time. Sat-sevayādīrghayāpi jātā mayi dṛḍhā hitvāvadyam imaṁ lokaṁ gantā maj-janatām. By service of the absolute truth, even for a few days, a devotee attains firm and fixed intelligence in me. Consequently, he goes on to become my associate in the transcendental world, after giving up the present deplorable material worlds. Okay, so we'll look at the thing in context. So, the first canto of the Bhagavatam, how does it begin? It begins with questions of the sages at Naimisharanya. And they have 6 questions. And Shuta Goswami is answering those questions in the first 3 chapters of the Bhagavatam. We all know that second chapter is very important, divinity and divine service. Some Prabhupada disciples even have recommended learning all of those verses. That second chapter is so important. It describes the development of bhakti. So the history of Bhagavatam is then given after that, starting in the 4th chapter, beginning with the activities of Vyasadeva, his writing the Mahabharata, the Purāṇas, and so on, and his feeling incomplete and despondent. So Narada gives him instructions. He meets Narada, and then he tells about his past life, because Vyasadeva was asking him, how did you become so pure, exalted, and liberated? So he explained about his past life, and this inspires Vyasadeva to compile the Šrimad Bhagavatam. Of course, after he has his personal realization, he sees the Lord himself, and he sees the shadow of the Lord, the material energy of the Lord. And then he teaches the Šrimad Bhagavatam to his son, Shukadeva Goswami. And then later in this canto is described the birth of Parikshit at the end of the Yadu dynasty. So his activities, how he met with Shukadeva Goswami, all the events that led to his becoming a king, the king of the world, the emperor. Vidura enlightened Dhritarashtra, then he took leave, and then Krishna disappeared. He enacted his lila of leaving this world, and then Yudhishthira enthrones Parikshit, and then him and all the Pandavas retire, and then Parikshit is left to rule the world. So now we're in this part of the first canto, which is describing Narada's previous life, and the Lord is giving him instructions how to achieve complete perfection. So there's so many lessons that can be had, but in this verse today, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing the relationship of the spiritual master and the neophyte devotee. So, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says, Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Haya Sadhu Sangha, Krishna Prema Janme Tengho Puna Mukhya Anga, that the cause of devotional service is Sangha, or relationship with sadhus. So association with pure personalities is the cause, and also as one becomes mature in devotional service, Mahaprabhu says, even up to the point of perfection, then one still maintains his connection with the sadhus. He still depends on association with sadhus. It remains the mukhya anga, the main limb of devotional service. So I recently read an article by Satyaraj Prabhu, Prabhupada's disciple, and he was explaining that devotional service is like osmosis. Bhakti is like osmosis. So we all know the process of osmosis. You may remember from your biology class in high school that that just by being near something, you gain the qualities of that thing. I don't know how it is in Slavic languages, osmosis. So in science, they say that if there's I'll use a little bit of technical language, don't worry, it'll be short. There's a what is it called? Like a membrane, and there's two liquids on both sides. So the water molecules from one will pass through the membrane until both sides have equal concentration of water. So, but it doesn't exactly work like that in terms of association. When a sadhu gives his association, it's not that he's losing his knowledge and qualities as they pass into another person, but rather it's increasing in himself also. So as he gives association, he's also expanding his own Krishna consciousness. In that sense, it's more like magnetism. So you have a magnetic object, and if you bring another metal into the magnetic field of that object, it also becomes magnetized. And the first object doesn't lose any of its potency. So it's a little bit more like magnetism, association with the sadhus. But it's also an apt comparison with osmosis, because just by being close, without any extra endeavor, one gains the qualities, one gains knowledge, just by being near sadhus. In the Bhakti Sindarbha, Jiva Goswami writes about this effect. He says, spiritual advancement begins from the moment one attains such association. So that's the beginning of spiritual advancement, is just being near a sadhu. And without having to make any other effort, actually. And he quotes from the Bhagavatam to support this statement. He quotes from the 10th canto. We all know the pastime when Krishna liberated the twin Arjuna trees, Yamala Arjuna. Nalakuvara and Manigriva had been cursed by Narada Muni to stand for 100 years as trees in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj. But Narada Muni, out of his great magnanimity, actually desired their perfection. And he knew that at the end of this 100 years, they would see face to face the Supreme Lord. So after Krishna liberates them, they offer prayers to Krishna. You can imagine little baby Krishna tied up to the mortar, and he's sitting in the yard, making mischief. The trees are crashing down, and two great devatas appear. There's a beautiful BBT painting of this. I'm sure you remember. And Krishna, they are very grateful for Narada. They praise Narada. Just like I remember Prahlad also, when he saw the Lord face to face, Nrsingadev, he told that, I want to serve you, my Lord. I want to accept your benedictions, but my first loyalty is to Narada, actually. My first loyalty is to my Gurudev. So I'm going to delay coming to the spiritual world to serve you directly, because I still feel that I have to serve my Guru here. He said that to the Lord himself. So here, these demigods, Nalakuvara and Manigriva, after liberation, they say to Krishna speaks to them. And he says, little Krishna, he says, Sadhunam samachittanam sutara mat kritatmanam darshanan na bhavet bandha pungsokshno savituryata. It means, when one is face to face with the sun, there's no longer any darkness for one's eyes. Similarly, when one is face to face with a sadhu who is fully determined and surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one will no longer be subject to material bondage. It's an amazing comparison. When one is facing the sun, there's never any darkness for his eyes. So when one is face to face with a sadhu who has the quality of full determination and surrender to Krishna, then for that person, there will be no more material bondage. Is it just poetry? or is it a fact, right? So Jiva Goswami is discussing it in detail. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that a quartz crystal can assume the color of any object. It will assume the color of any object that you put near it, no matter the hue of that object. So anything that comes near the crystal gains the same color. And Prabhupada says in the second canto, fire is always fire. It acts in its own way, even without any discrimination. So no matter who comes near fire, they will get warmed or burned. So this is the same thing with sadhu sangha, actually. The effect will happen. I was explaining before, sangha. It can be broken down as sa-anga. So anga means a limb, a part of a body, and sa, becoming part of someone's body. So it also comes from the root sanj, which can mean devotion, or connection, or intimacy. So, but ultimately, like we know that sadhu sangha is more than just being in the presence of a sadhu or just seeing a sadhu. It's an intimate exchange. What does that mean, intimate exchange? So the exchange happens when the internal state of consciousness of the sadhu interacts with the recipient's internal state. And I think we all have experience of this. I mean, there's many stories of Prabhupada's disciples when they interacted with Prabhupada, even just for a moment. You know, he glanced at them, and they felt their internal, like their whole subtle body was revealed to Prabhupada, and they felt that he was looking beyond everything in their conditioning and that he could see their true self. So you see, this is sadhu sangha, because what's happening inside of that person interacts with what's happening inside of us. This happens mainly through the transmission of sound. So sound carries the potency for this interaction to occur. So actually that means that the heart of sadhu sangha is chanting the holy name and receiving, of course, spiritual instructions from the sadhu. So through sound, the hearts of two personalities become united, become connected through sangha for a higher spiritual purpose. So this is the meaning of sadhu sangha. Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, first ocean, second wave, text 228, he says that there are 3 ways to facilitate. Now I'm going to write these down, because I know for me it helps to see, to remember and put the points together. So I'm just going to put it here on the board. So far we spoke about Sangha. That's the topic, Sangha, Sadhu Sangha. Now Rupa Goswami, he says, to facilitate this, to help this interaction occur effectively, he recommends searching for association with a sadhu who has at least one of these 3 qualities. So the first one is sajatiya. Sajatiya. The second one is called ashaya. And the third one is sajatiya, ashaya, and snigdha. So does anyone know the meaning of any of these? Sajatiya? Huh? I didn't hear. Reciprocation. Yeah, something, it's connected with that. Sajatiya means similar mindset, similar mentality. And then ashaya. Ashaya, without the R. Ashaya. It means that they're more advanced than ourselves. And the third one, snigdha. I think you know this one. Snigdha. It's also in the 6th canto, when Ajamil was calling for his son with snigdha, with affection. Right? So it means affectionate. They have, they're affectionately disposed or predisposed toward you. You can feel that they have affection for you, natural affection. So if you can find a sadhu who is sajatiya, of a similar mindset, who is ashaya, more advanced than ourselves, and who is snigdha, affectionately disposed toward us, then this will definitely be helpful in facilitating the process of sadhu sangha. So association with sadhu leads to taste for hearing. Shushusho shadadhanasya vasudeva katha ruchihi san mahat-sevaya vipra punya tirtha nishevanat. Sutta Goswami says that by service and association with the sadhu, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. So association gives a taste for hearing. That should be the result of association. Satam prasangang mama virya sangvido bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha. So this thirst for hearing about Krishna's glories arises, and then that leads to, of course, service, to devotional service, additional devotional services. So sadhu sangha is the beginning and the sustainer of devotion. It is required to begin the devotion, to ignite, and also to sustain throughout. It's like the engine of our devotional life. So in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, we all know the 9 steps of devotional service. Begins with Shraddha, then Sadhu Sangha, then after Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, and then Nishtha leads to Ruchi, Ruchi leads to Asakti, leads to Bhava, and then from Bhava, the next is Prema. And then Prema is the beginning of full spiritual life, and it actually continues more after that. There's 8 stages of Prema.
How many stages of Prema?
8, all the way up to Mahabhav, yes. But that's on the completely transcendental platform.
No, I mean stages of Prema.
Yeah, 8. There's 8. Yeah. It goes Sneha and so on. Okay, so in his commentary to these verses in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Jiva Goswami gives commentary to Rupa Goswami's verse. And he mentions that actually sadhu sangha is the first catalyst of devotional life. It comes even before Shraddha. Usually we say that Shraddha is the beginning. But Jiva Goswami is saying, no, actually it's sadhu sangha, which gives the first impetus, the first catalyst to devotional service. And he says, Pratamanantaram dvitiya sadhu sangha. So this means that Pratama means first, Anantaram following that, Dvitiya second, sadhu sangha. So first one hears Shastra from a sadhu, and then he gets faith in the meaning of the Shastra. So this is the first sadhu sangha. And we see that practically also, right, in our current time, that usually what happens is someone either gets a book, or they meet a devotee, or they hear a kirtan, and then they kind of develop a faith after that. So they get some form of association first, then comes faith. So this first sadhu sangha leads to Shraddha, which leads to the second sadhu sangha. So when we say that sadhu sangha, that second sadhu sangha is like intentional guided, taking shelter of the association of devotees and intentionally with the motivation to get guidance in how to perform devotional service. So why does Rupa Goswami list it differently? You know, in our classic, development, we start with Shraddha. Why does he say that? Well, the reason is the earlier forms of sadhu sangha, which come before Shraddha, are without will, without a volition. It's not that we're intentionally trying to get sadhu sangha. It happens without our own volition. Therefore, he doesn't count it as the first stage. But if we analyze it according to Jiva Goswami more elaborately, everything begins from sadhu sangha. And then one becomes more conscious of the process and he develops faith. Okay? And so there are many favorable activities in bhakti, and some of them are called mukhya vidhis, or primary rules. And out of the mukhya vidhis, the most important aspects of bhakti, or practices in bhakti, is the panchanga of bhakti, which are the 5 most important. And Mahaprabhu mentions this in the Madhya Lila. Can we remember the 5 important angas of bhakti? It actually begins with sadhu sangha. Then he mentions. Next is nam kirtan. Then bhagavat shravan. Then he talks about mathura vas. And then Shri Murti, Shraddhaya Sevana. So, means the association of devotees, chanting of the holy name, hearing the Šrimad Bhagavatam, living in a holy place such as Mathura, and service to the deity. So, the next verse in Madhya Lila, Mahaprabhu says that even a little slight performance of any of these 5 limbs can awaken love for Krishna. But still, Nam Kirtan is considered the king. The primary practice for all Vaishnavas is Nam Kirtan. And the other ones are existing to support it. This is what Jiva Goswami says. They're all supporting the glorification of the holy name, the singing of the names. And practically, this means that the primary purpose of sadhu sangha is to hear how the sadhu is singing the sacred names of Krishna. How with a loving heart he's chanting Krishna's names. With feeling, with knowledge, the sadhus engage in Nam Kirtan, and we join that Kirtan and we learn that mood is imbibed. And that knowledge also is given. So this is what actually brings people to the stage of pure love. This is how it happens. Through chanting of the holy names, with sadhus who have these features, sajatiya, ashaya, snigdha, and then we also learn the great art and science of Nam Kirtan. I remember once I was in a class in Toronto many years ago. It was 2009, I believe, summer. Devamrita Swami, His Holiness, was visiting, and he gave a class. And at that time, I had just left university. I graduated, and I was thinking a little bit about further education. And then I guess Krishna spoke through him, and he glanced at us. We were few brahmacharis, ragtag brahmacharis, and some other local devotees. We were traveling through, so we were just visiting. And he looked at us and he said, there's nothing wrong with a young man dedicating his life to the science of chanting. And he said, just like people work hard to get a PhD in medicine, law, or engineering, so you can also dedicate many years of your life to learning how to chant perfectly. And that will be a great accomplishment. So when he said that, clearly it stayed with me. And I remember that from time to time. And I really thank Maharaj within my heart. I thank him for giving that realization to us. Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Chandra Ki Jai. And so this is what Sadhu Sangha is really about. This is what makes the association of holy people so important. And also you may have experienced Trivikram Swami is coming here from time to time, and the way he engages in kirtan, I mean, for me, it's just so wonderful. It's like I enter another realm, and I can see how feelingly he's chanting so intensely and so intentionally. And this is the essence of the association. So the scriptures have many verses which value this devotional association. Here's one from the 10th canto. This is also from the same chapter where Krishna is explaining the glories of sadhus to Narada, to the Nalakuvara and Manigriva. He says, saintly persons think of Krishna 24 hours a day. They have no other interest. Why should people neglect the association of such exalted spiritual personalities and try to associate with materialists, taking shelter of non-devotees, most of whom are proud and rich? So another one is Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. So again, this verse is glorifying being close, being near in the proximity of a pure soul, even for a very brief moment, leads to perfection. Lord Krishna reveals a great secret in bhakti to Uddhava in the Šrimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto. He says, my dear Uddhava, by associating with my pure devotees, one can destroy one's attachment for all objects of material sense gratification. Look at that language Krishna uses. Destroy one's attachment for all objects of material sense gratification. By such purifying association, it brings me under the control of my devotee. One may perform the Ashtanga Yoga system. One may engage in philosophical analysis of the elements of nature. One may practice ahimsa, non-violence, and other principles of piety. One may chant the Vedas, perform penances, take up sannyas, execute sacrificial performances, dig wells, plant trees, perform other public welfare activities, give in charity, carry out severe vows, worship the demigods, chant confidential mantras, visit holy tirthas, and accept major and minor disciplinary injunctions. But even by performing such activities, one does not bring me under his control. Can you imagine that? All of these activities do not bring Krishna under his control. But what does? Purifying association. Associating with pure devotees. Therefore, Mahaprabhu became very joyful in his conversation with Ramananda Roy, specifically at the part when Ramananda Roy said, he quoted Lord Brahma in his prayers to Krishna. After trying to steal the cows and calves, Lord Brahma said, Jnane prayasamudapasya namantameva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya vartam stane stita shutigatam tanuvan manobir ye prayasho jitatito pyasitais trilokyam. So Ramananda Roy quoting Brahma is saying, one doesn't need to change anything in terms of his occupation or his position in society, but he just needs to open himself to the association of sadhus and hear from them patiently, submissively, receive the messages from them. And then in this way, one gradually conquers me, who otherwise is completely unconquerable throughout the whole three worlds. So this is how one gets relief from material existence. And actually Krishna becomes indebted to such a person. He also told Durvasa Muni, Vishnu told Durvasa Muni, Sadhavo hridayam mahyam, sadhunam hridayam tvaham, mad anyat na te janati naham tebhyo managapi. He said, the sadhus are in my heart, and I am in the hearts of the sadhus. They don't know anything else beyond me, and I also don't contemplate anything except them. So there's a very intimate connection and between the sadhus and Krishna. In the Prema Vivarta, Mahaprabhu says, to chant the name of Krishna in the association of sadhus, this is all I desire. This is the only thing Mahaprabhu is desiring. And he says, there's no other way to rise beyond material existence. The Bhagavatam in the 12th canto says, association with saintly devotees is man's highest achievement. So there's a classic example given in the Vedas of dry wood. So the idea is that fire is present within wood, but it doesn't have any use until it becomes blazing, until it becomes manifest. So Prabhupada writes in the first canto, second chapter, verse 32, purport, he says, as fire is kindled from wood by another fire, the divine consciousness of man can similarly be kindled by another divine grace. His divine grace, the spiritual master, can kindle the spiritual fire from the wood-like living entity by imparting proper spiritual messages injected through the receptive ear. So a piece of wood, even if it's very dry and flammable, easy to ignite, it still won't manifest flames. It won't become on fire unless he comes in contact with someone who is Krishna conscious. So there are many people actually out there who are ready, who are looking, who are seeking spiritual knowledge and wisdom and enlightenment, but they just need that contact with association. So Prabhupada stressed so much on sharing association, and he said that this loving exchange between the devotees and the public is that the public comes and asks advice from the devotees, and the devotees explain the techniques of devotional service. Guhyam akyati prichati. It's interesting he gave this as the primary example of intimate exchange. So I'll just conclude here with a quote from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, whose wisdom is unparalleled. He says about sadhu sangha, he says, when one comes in contact with a Vaishnava whose heart has been melted by Hari Bhakti Rasa, it is then that he loves to imbibe the sweet principle of bhakti, devotion, by following his holy footsteps. By constant study of Krishna Bhakti, he slowly washes off his mayic condition, and in the end, obtaining his true nature, he enjoys the sweetest unalloyed rasa, which is the ultimate status of the soul. Satsanga, or the company of spiritual people, is the only means to obtain the ultimate object of man. Bhakti is a principle which comes from soul to soul, and like electricity or magnetism in gross matter, it conducts itself from one congenial soul to another. That's from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his life and precepts. Okay, so today's verse was all about the neophyte devotee getting training under the Guru and becoming free from inhabitation in the material worlds, becoming promoted to become a liberated associate of the Lord. And Krishna is telling, Vishnu is telling Arjuna that just a little service to the absolute truth or the sadhus is awards one fixed intelligence in him and the strength of knowledge and determination to reach the spiritual worlds. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If anyone would like to ask any questions or make some comments or open up discussion. Yes, Prabhu?
You mentioned about neophyte devotee, and I'm interested according to this 9 stages of bhakti, so which stage we can consider ourselves someone neophyte, and when person become not neophyte?
So the question is, at what point does a person come above the neophyte level?
It says there is 9 stages of bhakti,
Mm.
and which stages they include this neophyte level, and when you not anymore a neophyte, which stage?
So where does maj-janatām begin along the 9 stages of bhakti? Huh?
Neophyte means like a
Okay. So yeah, when does the neophyte life end and the life of a advanced devotee begin? There's different definitions given in the Shastras of neophyte consciousness and madhyama and uttama consciousness. So in the 11th canto, the Nava-yogendras give a nice definition. They say, Archayame vaharaye ya puja shadhaye hate bhakteshu na cha bhakteshu chanyeshu sabhakta prakrita smritaha. A neophyte devotee, he's attached to worship of the Lord in the temple. He's faithful in his archana, but he's not able to behave properly with other devotees or with other people. And then the madhyamadikari, Ishvara tadadineshu, balisheshu dvishatsucha, prema maitri kripopeksha yakaroti samadhyama. The madhyamadikari, he knows how to behave properly with different types of people. He worships with all his heart the Supreme Lord. He offers his friendship and association with like-minded devotees, and he offers instruction, guidance, and shelter to those who are innocent and who want to learn more about devotional life, and he avoids or neglects the association of those who are inimical. So you can see the difference here is one of experience, knowledge, consciousness. So I don't have a direct evidence, but my understanding is that this transition from neophyte to madhyama occurs during the anartha nivritti stage, and it's complete at the stage of nishtha. Because anartha nivritti means wrong conceptions are being removed from the heart, from the consciousness, it's getting cleared, and one's becoming filled with proper understanding. Then he actually develops the proper vision and respect towards other types of people, and he realizes that Krishna is in everyone's heart, and it's vital, it's crucial that he behaves properly for his own devotional growth and for the sake of others as well. So that type of awareness, that type of development can't happen as long as the heart is filled with anarthas. So my understanding is that that's when it happens, when it comes to the nishtha level, or approaching the nishtha level at least. But I don't have evidence other than that. Would you like to add anything, Prabhu?
Thank you. I think it's proper. I also heard that Nishta, Madhyamika is a level of Nishta. Yeah. But it's also here in the Prabhupada said the fight devotee has no ability to approach the absolute concerns of God, but the strength of his presence and perfect senses. And therefore, under the direction of spiritual master, he is trained in a transcendental service of the Lord. That means that before we achieve Nishta, we should cannot understand absolute truth, God, by material senses, because they dominate by material conceptions, desires, laziness, and all this. Anishta Bhajana is quite different things about we like. Sometimes we like, sometimes don't like, and I don't know, like I want, I don't want. or actually also I found it interesting. There is 6 obstacles for nishtha: Slaya, Vikshepa, Apratipati, Kashaya, Rasasvara. Also sleep, distraction, tendency toward bad habits, taste for material enjoyment, and different spiritual topics. I mean, all these things we have to overcome. And then, according to this verse, purport, it means that we can, like, the five cannot has no ability to approach. But when we will be in this level of Krishna, it means that we should have this ability. Because our senses will be not anymore like, how to say, yeah, it will be spiritualized, because this means focused, very faith, and the material senses will be spiritualized by the, as I understand, by the spiritual praxis, and then you will be able to approach that. Of course, it's not perfect also, but still it's more much better than any of how it will work. We need all this guidance and direction. Yeah, it looks like most of us will need this.
Yeah, it's interesting that we're depending on the direct training and guidance of the Guru, but at the same time, that verse, sadhusanga remains the main limb of bhakti even after perfection, so that devotee actually always feels dependent on association of others, and especially advanced Vaishnavas, for his progress. But my understanding is that the difference between, also one important difference between a neophyte and an advanced devotee is their ability to associate with the Guru through instruction, through vapuvani. Through vani, rather than just through vapu. So when they're able to connect to the instructions of the Guru and serve those instructions wholeheartedly, without hesitation, then that's strong association with the Guru. That means he's already trained up. Yeah. Okay, anything more,
I
Mataji?
want to clarify.
Yeah.
What means sadhusanga?
That was the whole discussion was about that, the whole lecture.
But in short, it is the association with all devotees or just saintly personalities?
Well, my understanding is that all devotees are saintly to different degrees. But sadhu sangha, there's different, before in order to grow in spiritual life, when one becomes conscious that I'm trying to advance through the stages of bhakti, then he should look out for this type of sadhu sangha. He should seek consciously and intentionally, look for sajatiya, ashaya and snigdha, person who is more advanced, who has a similar way of thinking, and who is very affectionately disposed or behaves very affectionately with them. They show affection. Then that kind of association will help us the most. And that, as I mentioned before, there's an internal exchange that happens. So the sadhu is able to understand and guide us, and also we find great inspiration in the way, the manner in which that person serves the holy name. So when we have that inspiration, we take association, that's called sadhu sangha.
But no such saintly persons are very rare, and it is difficult to find such person.
It is difficult to find.
Yes. Like you described, it's very difficult. We have so many devotees, everyone is very nice, but to find, like you told, such exalted personality, like Krishna says, out of millions, only one seeks for perfection, and even those who seek, they are really attaining. So it's very difficult. So how to get this association of saintly personalities? Because you can serve, but you can always see some, shortcomings.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot see like ideal.
Mm-hmm. one has to become like a bee, a honeybee, because everyone has shortcomings, but we have to be also aware that there are people who have unwavering attachment to service to the Lord, to chanting the holy name, and to serving Vaishnavas. So when we find the people, or even one person, who we see that this person is experiencing great happiness in their spiritual practice, more than like many people enjoy tasting prasadam. Many people enjoy doing services as long as they're getting some kind of reward for that, either praise from devotees or some recognition. But there's many people who are very saintly that not many people know about. They're not famous, but they just continue on with their service. And such people, have a hidden treasure within. Just like Dear Shanta Maharaj gives this example. You can have a very rich man, but you might not realize he's very wealthy because he dresses like an ordinary person and he acts like an ordinary person and he just has normal meals and he walks on the sidewalk. He looks like an ordinary man. But actually, sometimes a rich man, he behaves like that. And you don't know that he's billionaire, So it's the same thing with advanced devotees. Krishna awards us the vision to see who is a very advanced sadhu. If we want advanced association, we have to be very sincere. There's no substitute for that. So when one is very sincere, Krishna reveals to the vision of such a person, this is an advanced soul. And then the exchange that happens, it's usually quiet. That's my experience. It's not like a big celebration that everyone becomes aware of, but it's a quiet feeling. And that person, when that Vaishnava sees that someone has appreciated them, then it opens up that channel. And advancement can happen in a very quiet way, It doesn't have to be like it has to be what it is. It's a personal journey. We're all on our own personal journey, and along our journey, it's not that just because everyone is a fan of this person or that figure that we have to follow that. I mean, in the beginning, that's fine, but ultimately, if we want that close association, it has to be very intentional, very specific desire that I want to serve this person because I respect and admire their devotion so much. And it can manifest through just simple little services or favors. And then Krishna is pleased and he allows that bhakti to flow from them into you. So like Narada, his meeting with the Bhakti Vedantas, he valued that so much and he served their instructions peacefully by himself, and Krishna was very pleased by that. That he valued that association. So everyone has something to offer. Those who are very developed in their devotional life, they might not always be recognized, but if we're sincere, Krishna will show that to us. We have to pray. We have to desire it. And when we find it, when we find that person, those personalities, then we have to value it very much and try to render service. The only price, Rupa Goswami says, is the desire. The price to get that kind of association, tatra laulyam api mulyam ekalam. That is the price. One has to very much desire for it. Where have my Rupa and Sanatan gone? Where is Kaviraj Goswami? Where is the great dancer Gauranga suddenly gone? I will smash my head against the rock, I will enter fire. Narottam Das is left here simply weeping. That's the mood. That will take us further.
Yeah, like Prabhupada told that we should always look, we should always search for such personalities.
Where did he?
Sorry?
So you're thinking of some particular... Where did Prabhupada say? I don't know.
No, just Prabhupada, I don't remember where he told, but he was telling that we should always try to search such personalities. We should search them.
Actually, Prabhupada, what I find is he emphasized staying with the ISKCON devotees.
Yes, for sure. But I mean,
We don't need to search outside of ISKCON.
but sometimes you can be next to some exalted personality, but your contamination doesn't allow you to see. Because you are not eager to search.
Yeah, there are. I'm not saying there's not the exalted devotees outside of ISKCON. There are. But Sajatiya, we're followers of Prabhupada. We stay with Prabhupada and with his desire. It doesn't mean that there's not people in Muslim or Christian or Buddhist or other Gaudiya traditions that they don't have love of God. We're not the only ones who have love of God. I don't think like that, at least. But that loyalty to Prabhupada is very important. Is very important if we want success. Many people go looking for real sadhu sangha in different places, but that's, even if you find someone who is great, if that person is genuine, they'll send you back. They'll say, go back, stay with Prabhupada. That's your path. Prabhupada brought you, Prabhupada is raising you, Prabhupada will keep you, Prabhupada will perfect you. We have to have faith in that. There's no benefit in jumping. Searching for sadhu sangha doesn't mean abandoning the sangha we already have. So Prabhupada's books, if we learn, like we were talking about Vani Seva, if we learn how to associate with Prabhupada through his instructions, that is the safest position where we're able to feel Prabhupada's guidance and presence through his holy, sacred, written kirtans in the form of his books, and also lectures, letters, his kirtans, and so on. But Prabhupada is there for all of us, and those who follow him sincerely will see that they channel his kindness, his mercy. Actually, everything is resting upon that. And my understanding is that by serving Prabhupada's mission very sincerely, that's the gateway, like I explained before, that's the gateway to other saints. Like if we want to connect to Rupa Goswami, or we want to connect to Kaviraj Goswami, or anyone, Ramanujacharya, that connection, that close association is manifest when they see how we serve Prabhupada. It's the key to it, because he's the one who saved us. No one else. Who's saving us? Šrimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai. Yeah, let's go off the line though. It's getting late. Getting tired also. Yeah, please, say some more.
Just you were sharing good points about the situation. Just to be in this calm, and what is also mentioned that sometimes you can be around advanced devotees, pure devotees, sincere devotees, and you may not recognize their good intentions. And I also actually found in one of yours where this verse mentioned Samjitiya and Snigdha from Century Bhagavatam. It's Mark 22:1-3:1. Šrimad Bhagavatam Ashvadurasika Saha Samjitiya Saye Snigdhe Sadaus na Sangha Svatovare. It said one should taste the meaning of Šrimad Bhagavatam in the association of good devotees, and one should associate with the devotees who are more advanced than oneself and who are endowed with a similar type of affection for the Lord.
Nice.
Actually, Prabhupada translates, not Prabhupada, but in the Sanskrit word, the word Sajatiya, similar, and Snigdha is advanced and devotional affection. And the purpose shall probably explain. The words Sajatiya, Saya, Snigdha are very important. One should not associate with professional Bhagavatam reciters. said, one who is not in the second station, who has no taste for bhakti yoga, who just has the strength of grammatical knowledge and word jugglery, professional sense maintains their bodies. And I mean, this is not improper association when we put it like, so it's not good to work around devotees who follow Srila Prabhupada in any way. I mean, of course, there is different gradation, how we follow more or less, but still, we all want to find some good association, some advanced people, but also important to be around devotees in this home. I mean, and not only eat together and do only your service, but associate like with like in Šrimad Bhagavatam or like around the Shastra, because this helps all of us maintain our faith and develop to get the taste from scriptures. Even of course, like, yeah, if you find advances, it's perfect. Even if we don't have, we have what we have. Sometimes we can even give association. If we like, we should try to practice properly and also give association. That if others may be like not serious, but we should also we not only enjoy that we want to get something, but we also should be a servant. We want to give others. And just follow our guru, Srila Prabhupada, and in this way we can be more pure and pure, because our purity means we follow.
Yes,
Today was explained that we have to follow. Yeah, otherwise if we, sometimes I see that it's called like, we see, oh, there is no devotees, no serious devotees in the temple, everyone is went out. And in this way, if you're going in this direction, if we just also keep ourselves from devotees, we just giving somehow, then everything will degrade mostly. Devotees will lose their strength and faith, because without association with each other, we associate with materialists, all different things. It's just internet, we go to Instagram, everywhere, and all this together influence you, and then you have this taste for material enjoyments. And then, without association of devotees, you gradually moving out, and in this way, everything becomes lost. And so it can be difficult to, of course, to revive something, to practice even when it's like not everything perfect. But there is no other way. Other way is going into degradation. And this way, association with devotees makes. Yeah, of course, we have to try to go some festivals to find some sadhu, try to get inspiration, instruction, how to maintain ourselves, not to lose enthusiasm. But also we have to give something to devotees by participating in programs, inspiring others. And, I mean, I found this, because I also think about association. Lately a lot, and I'm writing now this article about association. And now this together, I understand more and more that we have to be together, and in this way we can advance gradually.
But Shri Prabhu says 3 things are important for a community to develop. He says, 1, there has to be plenty of hearing and chanting, sufficient hearing and chanting together. 2, there has to be a clear mission. So I guess the leader has to remind everyone what the clear mission of the community is. Mission statement. Like in a business, we have a mission statement. And the third one, I can't remember the third one. Hearing and chanting.
Service?
It was about what you were just saying.
Service? Distribution?
No. Can't remember right now.
Hearing chanting? Then goal? Prasad.
Prasad. Another possible?
I can also add, like my Guru Maharaj, Jayapataka Swami, he translated Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati book, Vaishnava Care, what kind of Vaishnava you are. And actually I'm translating this book, and it is written there that you can, if you think that you can practice Krishna consciousness in solitary place, you are very wrong, because it is only your mind. Because actually you can practice only in association with devotees. Like we can see so many devotees are practicing at home, somehow, but it is not real practice.
Yeah. I remember the third thing, just one moment. Encouragement. Vaishesh Prabhu, if you ever go to his community, you see he encourages people so much. Just like all day he's encouraging people. And so encouragement, a lot of hearing and chanting, and the mission. We shall be connected with a common mission. So we don't have to have the same service, we're all book distributors. No. But we all know that we have we're all working to create an environment to bring people, or whatever the mission of the temple is. Like in LA, it's very clear what the mission is in LA. You've been in LA temple.
BBT and book distribution.
It's book distribution, deity worship, and just BBT, maximum support of the BBT. So everyone knows that. And Srivas Prabhu makes it very clear every day that everyone has to support this mission. No matter what they're doing. The deity worship supports the BBT printing and distribution. So every temple should have a mission.
But encouragement is a thing, like I think senior devotees who have some experience, they have to organize different things to inspire devotees come together and have this Shravan Kirtana
Yeah.
and understand the goal and this like encouragement, I mean like it will not happen just somehow itself. We need to like, it's also important to organize different things, just some service organize together or go for books together, like Avasheshka do,
Yeah,
or
that's
just
it.
organize a namahata or just something in the temple, or when we come together and we can, of course there's a morning program. This should also have to try to inspire others to come for Šrimad Bhagavatam or other classes, because this Shravan Kirtan is natural, we already have every day. But if we only care about ourselves, then we only want to find some association, but we don't want to serve Prabhupada by following his instruction, by giving other association, by organizing, encouraging others, then everything can degrade, because nobody do this, somebody should do it.
The leadership is needed, yeah, leadership.
Anyone can do it, of course, like leadership can be different. Even just do some bhakti riksha or some not really need some very advanced level.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean.
Everyone can do something, whatever he is able. Not as you like book distribution, you can organize book distribution together. Just
You
somehow.
are organizing.
Yeah, but when I'm not here, you can do. Because just to be a servant, just to know that, okay, ask us. Of course, it's not easy, even like, this have to be done regularly, somehow like ask others to inspire, like when some seniors comes, try to ask a guru or someone to encourage devotees. We do this program, we're trying to do together, please. Maybe you can inspire others also, say some words. Yeah, actually I should also ask some Shravan when he was here to about if he could encourage others to come together, because when some seniors say, then it's at least for the disciples, it's make no value.
Yeah, my friend, a friend of mine, Valmiki, he told me, whenever you go to a community, you have to approach the leaders and ask them, what do they want you to say? When you're traveling and preaching, you have to know what the local community is doing, and you have to encourage them. Like, you have to understand what is the, like, if you come here to Kaunas, you go to Dhruvananda and you say, well, how's your community doing? How should I preach? What should I emphasize? Then that can really help. That's a good way to serve. Like, actually, that's like the family mood, right? And sometimes we get the idea that, like, we get distracted that, oh, it's about becoming a star. So a preacher travels and becomes a star, and like he collects his own followers. But no, it's not really about that. If you go somewhere that only anyone who comes here also should be in the mood of supporting this place and helping it grow, expand, and help the leaders achieve their goals. Any other thoughts on this?
Actually, I forgot about Mike.
The what?
Give the mic to yeah, not this. Kind.
I thought we were not really...
Yeah, because we're so
I'm not really inspired by the internet stuff.
No, so the here is not counts.
I mean, it's better...
It's about inspiration for just the service. Another shape of methodology, like, listen to classes, but when we don't speak in microphone, ну, то есть, они не слышно, не очень хорошо слышно, когда
šiandien dabar iškartom čia žiabą kartu. Tai irgi taip pagalvoju apie tą, kad tas bendras kartojimas švento vardo irgi labai svarbus yra, žinai. Bendras, ja. Taip, ir tu mes į toks gaunasi abipusis, kai tu kartoji, natūraliai gaunasi ir sadhu sangha gaunasi, kai kartoji, kaip bendras visiekas, gaunasi tas per bendravimą, tas gaunasi tas, kai mes kartoji šventą vardą, ir kartu, tai ten gaunasi tas ir bendravimas, tas tarpusavy kažkoks tai gaunasi.
So association with each other is taking place while we're doing sankirtan, chanting the holy name.
Prisimenu tokią istoriją, atsimenu istoriją su Purāṇa, kaip jinai buvo kivirčias, buvo kažkoks trintis tarp šeimos žmonių ir sanjasių, ten tokių pačiarių, tai kažkokie buvo toksai, nesutarimai kažkaip buvo, jie atėjo pas Purāṇą, sako, ten kažką daryti, Purāṇa sako, Sėkiu kartoju šventą vardą.
Prabhupada gave a prescription. He gave us an order that when there was this friction between sannyasis and brahmacharis and some householders, he said we should come together and chant.
Tai esmė, kad galim suprasti, kad visų šitų dalykų tenai visų tos Šrimad Bhagavatam, aišku, visi tie dalykai labai svarbus yra, bet kaip žinom, ką jeigu yra svarbiausias šventų vardų kartojimas, visi tie bendravimas atsidavusiais, dievių garbinimas, gyvenimas šventoje vietoje, Šrimad Bhagavatam klausimas, irgi tai turim, ką jeigu turi privesti prie šventų vardų, mums padėti įkvėpti mūsų šventą vardą kartuoti.
All these other angas of bhakti should support the chanting, the congregational chanting.
Tie dalykai, tai toks svarbus mūsų, šiandien tiek apie Žinai, per kitaip, tai šventų vardų, tas prisirišimas prie šventų vardų kartojimų yra kaip ir pagrindas, ne toks jau tas noras kartuoti šventą vardą, ieškoti būdų įsikvėpimo, kaip aš galiu pagerinti šitų vardų kartojimą, kas man padeda šventą vardą kartuoti, tai prisirišimas prie šventų vardų. Nes jeigu mes turim prisirišimą, mes irgi ieškome to prisirišimo prie Kristaus, prie kažkokių tarnysčių visokiausių, bet visokios, kad ten sunkumai, išbandymai, tai bet šventas vardas yra toks kaip stabiliausias dalykas, prie ko mes galim prisirišti, žinai, kur bus toks pastovas mūsų prisirišimas.
So the main, the strongest pillar in our spiritual life is our chanting of the holy name. That connection we maintain always, even if there's other difficulties and problems with other services in other areas. But the holy name is the basis.
Ir be abejo mes turim suprasti, jausti tam tikrą savo lygį, kad mes lygiai randamės panašiai, kad mes pradedam tokį stiprų dar apsivalymo procesą, iš tikrųjų, ir jisai mums kaip ir truputį trukdo dar, turėti tą tokį aukštesnį skonį kažkokį, tai mums pastovi yra, ta atsinotis nėra pastovi mūsų, tas mūsų tie nešvara mūsų neleidžia mums pastoviai užsiimti kažkokią, nepertrūkstamą atsinaujinimo tarnystę. Mes turim tai suprasti, kad mes turim dar praeiti tokią tam tikrą apsivalymą, tą rimtą procesą kažkokį, tai žinai.
If we have some, because of contamination, we're unable to constantly perform a particular service that we're given. So that's, we should understand that that's our level and that we have to continue the purification process in order to achieve that state.
Ir aišku, mes norim kažkaip labai efektyviai pamokslauti, turėti gerą pamokslavimą kažkokį dar kažko.
It's understood we want to have effective preaching. Okay, keep going.
panašiai tą kalbėjom, panašiom temom įvairiausiom. Čia buvo tokia mintis, kad kaip knygas platys, ne? Kad, pavyzdžiui, Lietuvoje būna tą knygų platinimo mugį vieną kartą metuose. Į mugę galima eiti, knygas platyti, ten visos Lietuvos suvažiuoja, ten net krikščionys su Biblija savo pamokslauja, ten dar kažkas ten galima tokią savo programą padaryti, kažkokią, bet be abejo, tai reikia turėti tam tikrą kvalifikaciją, tokį tam tikrą, tai sugebėti tinkamų lygių pateikti žmonėms kažkaip, tai žinai, ne aukštas lygis yra, kad tai iš tikrųjų, tai žmonėms tinkamai visą tą pristatytą, žinai, tam lygį, tam kažką, tai iš tikrųjų. Ir tai nėra taip lengva, matoma, tai tikrai tas procesas kažkoks pakankamai, turi būti labai pakankamai, mes turim įvertinti savo jėgas ir galimybės tokias, mes turim svajonės tokias, bet turim jaust tokias savo realiai galimybės, kiek mes galim, ir mes turim suprasti, kad mes, kiek mes patys viduj pasikeisim, kiek mes tobulėsim patys, tiek keisis visa mūsų kokybė ir pamokslavimo ir viskas natūraliai keisis kažkiek, ir mes turim suprasti, kad tas mūsų pamokslavimo tobulumas ateina iš mūsų vidaus, ne iš išorės kažkokio, ne iš tokio mūsų mentalų intelekto, tokio mentalinio išorinio, bet iš mūsų širdies švarumo, iš mūsų to prisirišimo, tokio vidinio, tokios mūsų dvasinės, tokio būsimos iš tikrųjų, ateina tas visas pamokslavimais. Ir žmonės tą jaučia, ir jeigu jie turės jaus, kad čia mes kažkokį gauna tokį bendravimą gerą šventyklų, kažkokį jie norės čia ateiti. Ir jų nereikės daug tokio pamokslavimo, jie norės čia ateiti pabendrauti, jie turės jaus, kad čia kažką tokio gauna, kažką daugiau negu materialiam pasaulyje, kažką gauna. O jeigu tik tai mes išoriškai pamokslavome, žmonės čia ateina, jie mato, kad jie nieko per daug čia mes neturim tokių gerų santykių tarpusavy važinai. Mes nesugebėsim žmonių čia išlaikyti, pritraukti. Jie ateis ir išeis, pamatys, kad čia tas pas kaip tam pasaulyje panašus santykiai, nieko daugiau nėra. Neturės pavyzdžių, kaip visą, ką mes pamokslavom, jie nematys, kaip tai praktiškai gyvenime pritaikyti, kaip mes patys keičiamės, jie nematys pavyzdžių ir ir mes dabar jau matom, kad jie keičiasi, šventykla, metus gerbus atėjo, žinai, kažkas tai. Tai reiškia, kad dabar jau, ženklų, kad mes tobulėjom, kad mūsų vidus tobulėjo, kad mums davė kažkokį tam tikrą materialų gerbą, tai reiškia, mes viduje jau po truputį tas yra tie tam tikrai keli lygiai atsidavusių yra. Kai atsidavusiam ten metus gerbų, jis tenai kažkos įdatė. Matau, trys etapai atsimatais, kaip ir pirmas žemiausias lygis, pačiau kaip atsidavusiam jau metus gerbus ir jau paskui trečias, kaip atsidavusiam tampas aukštesnis, kad tas skolis jau sekačiam etapą iš tikrųjų. Tai va, tai kažkoks darėjas, kad dabar sekačiam etapą mes turim dabar jau pasitempt, kad Krishna davė kažką medelų gerbui ir mes dabar turim jau nuo to metos gerbų sugebėti pakilti tą tokį jau dvasinį lygį, kažkokį tai kažką tam sekantį žingsnį žemės. Metus gerbus, naujos grindys, naujos sienos, naujas altorius, viską užmėtė.
Tas toks Mantas yra sakė irgi ten mokiniai, norėjo marmurą išparduoti. Visi dalinasi tų materialų gerbų. Tiesiog Prabhupada sakė, kad mums nereikia materialaus gerbų tam, kad mes galėtume praktikuoti arba pamokslauti. Galima sėdėti netgi po mirčių.
Mano motis kitaip sako.
Bet iš kitos pusės Prabhupada sakė, kad atsidavusiam reikia sudaryti visas geriausias galimybes praktikuoti Krishnos.
Viešpačia Tanė Gosvami davė nurodymus atrasti tas vietas, statyti šventyklas ir dar vieną nurodymą davė.
Jo, bet nesidalinti marmurą, bet pamokslauti.
Tai be abejo, kad mes neturim snūstant to materialaus gerbų, mes neturim per daug, vien tik tai neturi būti mūsų tikslas tas materialus gerbus, mes neturim ieškoti tokio mėgautis nuo materialų gerbų, mes turim dėti pastangas, kad mes turim suprasti aukščiausią misiją. Visą tai Krishnos malonė, tas materialus gerbus, mes turim neprisirišti prie jo ir toliau jį užimti tarnystę Krishnai ir toliau ties savo dvasinę praktiką, intensyviai faktas. Tai kaip mes turim. Tai va, nuo to Maidano pasakysiu. Ką? registracija, jeigu paskaitau.
Kaip ten, žinot, yra viešbučiai, 5 žvaigždučių, 4, 2, tai va šventykla neturi būti 5 žvaigždučių viešbutis.
Turi būt.
Kur miega ir valgo.
Turi būt transcendentinis viešbutis, turi būt.
Jo. Šventykla turi būti pamokslavimo centras.
Jo,
Bent jau tokie yra.
Kitaip, gaunasi